Maina is a Bodytalk practitioner, integrative therapeutic body worker, while bridging it with quantum life coaching. She is a wellness advocate, yoga teacher, as well as a gold leader in the doTERRA essential oils movement. She has been in the field of energy medicine for over 17 years. Welcome, Maina.
Thank you, Stephanie. I love doing this with you, and I'm really honored that you invited this interview and this potential for us to start working together.
It's amazing. I'm so happy to have you. Today, I wanted to focus specifically on your practice with Bodytalk. Would you explain to us what exactly is Bodytalk?
Sure. So Bodytalk is energy medicine, and it's a consciousness-based modality and healthcare system. So it's basically the idea, right, that we all kind of already know that the body has the ability to heal itself. Right? So the way that Bodytalk utilizes that concept is we use a form of applied kinesiology, which is a form of muscle testing to find out where there's breakdown in communication within the body, mind, spirit. Sometimes it can be energetic factors, sometimes it can be environmental issues, epigenetic, sometimes it can be emotional blockages, chakras that are out of alignment. It can also be relationships, or it can be intolerances. So it can be anything and everything that affects our human multidimensional beingness, right? Because we're not just physical beings. We're physical, we're emotional, we're mental, we're spiritual, and we're also systemic and part of a larger whole. So when I say that it's a consciousness-based system of energy medicine, it means it's looking at the consciousness of everything that we are a part of.
Thank you. I noticed that when I speak about Bodytalk, a lot of people confuse it between Reiki and Bodytalk. Could you clarify a little the distinctions between the two?
Absolutely. So I am certified and licensed in energy medicine and certified as a Bodytalk practitioner since 2003. And I'm also trained in Reiki. So only Reiki 1 and 2, but enough to understand what the differences are. So with Reiki, we're working primarily with the body's chakras, which is a beautiful system. And it's mostly comes from the Ayurvedic Indian traditions. Right. And so we're working with energy centers of vortexes, which is what chakras are. And indirectly, they do affect other aspects of our body mind, specifically the endocrine system and our hormonal balancing. But with chakras, you're only still looking at the chakras, kind of like a cardiologist only looks at the heart. Of course, it indirectly affects the whole body because blood is being pumped through our entire body. But when we're working with chakras and Reiki, it's still just, it's not a comprehensive system like Bodytalk is, because Bodytalk brings in organs, endocrines, cellular activity, environmental issues, so we can get specifically. So anytime you're working with intentional energy medicine, the more specific that you can get, the better I've seen the results. And another big difference between Bodytalk, and I mean, there are many, right? So it's a completely different system. So with Reiki, we're working with channeling universal and life force energy. And usually you're receiving it through the left hand and releasing through the right, right? So there's like that flow of conduit energy. But with Bodytalk, we have polarities of using the tapping method that we work with both hands, because in Bodytalk, we work with, we work with quantum energy medicine, and both hands have both polarity. So I love Reiki, and sometimes it is a priority to bring in Reiki into a Bodytalk session under other modalities. And that's what I love about Bodytalk. It's because it's so comprehensive and it allows you to bring in other wisdoms. But with Reiki, you can only work with the chakras. And with Bodytalk, you can get into deeper cellular epigenetics and ancestral, like really pinpoint and ask the body what it really needs as a priority. So it's a priority-based system. And that's the biggest difference between Bodytalk and Reiki. And they're both amazing systems, but there is a huge difference between them.
Thank you for that explanation. I don't think I could have ever explained it that thoroughly. Right now, I'd say there's trying times with this pandemic, this COVID pandemic going on, not only with the actual disease, but it's creating stress and fear and tension in the body, which can ultimately weaken their immune systems. Can you elaborate on how you're able to work energetically on people, even through your distant online sessions?
Absolutely. So even before COVID, 40% of my income comes from my body talk distance healing sessions. So with energy medicine, we're working with energetic concepts. So even though with body talk, in order for us to activate a healing session, we're using the tapping, right? So tapping over the head brain, the heart brain, and the gut brain, what that's doing is it's interrupting a soliton standing wave frequency that your body and your blueprint already has. So what it's doing is it's pattern interrupting a frequency that your body's in, and it's helping you to connect to another formula or healing frequency. But the tapping, right? When I'm tapping, I'm not actually touching my brain. It's the intention and it's the focus. So energy medicine in itself is more about thought field therapy and energy medicine, right? And we're made of energies. Our whole bodies are made of energies, everything, right? So going down to like at a cellular level, all of our organs are made of tissues. Tissues are made of cells. Cells are made of atoms, right? Atoms, when you break them down even deeper, are made of protons, neutrons, and electrons. And going even smaller, it's just energy. And energy in quantum mechanics, energy cannot be bound by time or space. That's why body talk and other forms of energy therapies and even advanced Reiki practitioners and advanced energy medicine practitioners with other modalities can do healings at a distance because energy is not bound by time or space. And sometimes it works even faster because it's instantaneous healing.
That's so wonderful, especially now where people actually don't necessarily want to be touched by somebody else and don't want to be around other people. And I mean, it's trying times, but this is wonderful if you're battling with that right now.
Absolutely. And a lot of people are going through a lot of stress and like a lot of grieving and a lot of letting go of different things. So, this is a metal rat year in the Chinese zodiac. And from a Chinese medicine concept and a lot of our body talk trainings that include 5-element theory and traditional Chinese medicine, what we know is that this is a year where there's a lot of lung related issues, right? And so we see that very directed with the virus, and it affects primarily the lungs, right? And so it's not only metal element and lungs, but also letting go and grieving. And of course, with all of the social reforms that are happening, having to let go of old paradigms. So this is a year that we need a lot of support in that emotional realm, especially in the Western world where we are not really used to working on our emotional bodies. So yeah, definitely, having energy medicine tools that work with rewiring our belief systems and our energy bodies are really crucial at a time like this. And, I've been really blessed to be able to offer these sessions for all of my clients and for new clients as well.
That actually helps me lead into my next question. Typically, when people want to address something with you, what do they come to you with? What kind of issues exactly?
So anything and everything, because it is consciousness-based energy medicine. So some people will come to me. Mostly I get a lot of anxiety, depression, fibromyalgia is a big one, and one that we see a much success if people are really committed to their healing process. And also any kind of aches and pains in their bodies, also because I have a body work background as well. So it really depends on, I treat babies. I've worked at children's hospitals before. I've worked in body talk and fertility clinics. I've also worked as a body talk practitioner along with doulas for births. So I've been part of 4 different births that weren't family members. I've been part of plastic surgery clinics to help women love themselves more through the process of like healing and, being stitched up. So it really varies. Anyone and everyone could benefit from body talks, from babies to sometimes I work with geriatric, the geriatric population. And I have a 96-year-old client that I see her once a week and I love her dearly. And, she notices benefits from her tune-up every week. So it really is a very broad range of what it can treat. And in my experience, anybody and everyone could benefit from Body Talk, because what Body Talk is it's a consciousness-based system of energy medicine. And what we believe is that, Body Talk is a system of personal growth and spiritual development with the side effect of good health. Meaning that when your body and your soul is in alignment with your purpose, in alignment with your truth, then you will naturally have good health. And then when we don't have good health, it's because your body is signaling to you that there's something that needs to be adjusted. There's some improvement or some lesson that needs to be learned, or some emotions that need to be worked through. So we don't actually view illness as a death sentence or a punishment, but more so something to evolve and work with, and to really listen in and tune into the body's wisdom to learn more about yourself in this, journey of being human.
Maina, you touched on a topic that actually reminded me of something from your childhood. And I've worked in Western medicine for over 13 years. And coming from that background, I've been intrigued with how bodywork seems to bridge the two Eastern and Western medicinal philosophies. Could you explain how that works, and when doing a session with a client, and maybe even bring up your own experience with it?
Absolutely. So I got into Body Talk because at 17 years old, I had gallstones, and I ended up in the emergency room and with severe pain. So if anyone has ever had gallbladder attacks, you know that it's a shooting pain on the right side of your body, comparable to like a heart attack. It's really painful. And it comes also with shortness of breath and a little bit of panic. So I ended up in the hospital at 17 years old with my mom, and I went and they told me that the only solution was to remove my gallbladder. And so at the time I was like, I'm not removing my gallbladder. I don't want to do it. I got three in total doctors that told me the same thing, that the only solution for gallstones and having an inflamed gallbladder was to remove my gallbladder. Then I went to see my acupuncturist, who happened to have started practicing Body Talk, Dr. Janet Galipo, who's one of my mentors. And she said, Maina, you don't have to remove your gallbladder. We're going to do some Body Talk. We're going to put in some needles. We're going to do a detox and a flush for your liver and gallbladder. And in 2 months, you'll be fine. And I was. And I also started doing yoga. I found out at the time I was lactose intolerant. And so, and I worked through a lot of traumas. So there's a lot of traumas that I had to, and we all have traumas. Like the human experience is a trauma, right? And it doesn't have to be big traumas, but even like little tiny belief systems that we acquire when we're little, they are embedded in who we are and the decisions that we make and like what we choose. So even learning about that whole process and journey is something that Body Talk works with. So for me, that's how I got started with it. And the way that Body Talk bridges Eastern and Western philosophies is that Body Talk brings in the knowledge of Western medicine with organs, endocrines, body parts, and cellular information and epigenetics. And it also combines the wisdom of our emotional body, our chakras, our nadis, all of our entire energy bodies. So, it's bringing in the best of both worlds to really be able to make a comprehensive and complete holistic energy medicine system. So the creator of Body Talk was actually a chiropractor and an acupuncturist with a lot of psychology and other postgraduate studies. So he brought in a lot of that wisdom, and a lot of the system that's still currently even evolving and being developed does bring in a lot of Western medicine and epigenetics. And we have a lot of molecular biologists that work with Body Talk. So it's a very open system, and it is integrative in the sense that, you don't just have to do Body Talk, but you can bring in other modalities into the practice. So if you're an acupuncturist or a physical therapist using Body Talk, you just ask the body what the priority is for the specific acupuncture needle or for the specific exercises. So it's priority based, and we're muscle checking, because most therapists don't really know what they're, what the action for healing, a healing sequence is. But with Body Talk, we don't have to guess. We just ask the person's body and their highest self and their whole entire, body's ability to heal itself. And through the muscle testing, we receive the priority and the sequencing for healing, along with the formula that they need to get the most, the best and also fastest healing system. So even though I'm trained in various healing modalities in the last 17 years, I keep going back to Body Talk, and I teach Body Talk because it's the system where I see the most results for my clients. And I love to see results, and my clients appreciate seeing results too.
I am a testament to that, as I've been your client as well. So Maina, thank you so much for your time. You have been extraordinary. It was such a pleasure to interview you today.
Awesome, Stephanie. Thank you, babe. Anytime. And I'm super happy that you are, really embarking on this amazing venture. And I wish you the best. And thank you so much for having me.
I'm going to stop the recording.